Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Simuleos, the only channel on Twitch. Well, okay, let me just change my tagline around a little bit. I used to use the only channel on Twitch that was exclusively devoted to computational physics, but again, we've been branching out, and now every time I start an episode, I always say the same thing, and it doesn't mean anything because, you know, I'm no longer devoted exclusively to computational physics. Anyway, today we are going to continue working on the Drawing with Code project, i.e. the subroutine webcomic thing that I had come up with a few days ago. I actually really like this project, guys, and I realize if you don't, that's perfectly fine. It's not that big of a deal. The idea is that this project is kind of the one that I'm going to use whenever I need to do something, but I have not been able to put enough time into preparing my other type of thing. So, for example, today, I was going to continue working on the diagonalization project. However, the document I was using, basically, in order to continue with the diagonalization thing, we have a tri-diagonal matrix right now with our, what would you call it? The Lanzas algorithm. Now, the problem is a tri-diagonal matrix does not give us eigenvalues, and in order to get eigenvalues, we need to diagonalize that. Now, in order to diagonalize that, people typically will use what's called a power method or some other method. We were going to use the power method. In the example text that I was reading from, it gave us how to use the power method. However, the best version of the power method was like 5 lines long. And the 4th line just said QR decomposition. And I was like, okay, well, sure. I didn't actually read the algorithm beforehand. I just figured that since it was like 5 lines long, it wouldn't be that hard to do. Apparently, it's a little bit more complicated than I thought, so I apologize for that. We will not be doing that today. We will either be doing it tomorrow or the day after that. Let me check something real quick, because I feel like... Okay, no, that's fine. So today we're going to go back to the drawing with code thing. I decided to use the hashtag drawing because, I don't know, maybe we are kind of doing drawing in a way, which is weird, but we'll see. If it doesn't work out, if people say we should get off this community, I get it, because we're kind of doing something a little bit different here. Anyway, the idea of this project is that we're using Cairo. Cairo is a type of graphics suite, I suppose you could say, for C++. So let me go ahead and open up external, and let's talk about what Cairo is, how it works, and then move into the actual project itself. So like in the last episode, I described Cairo kind of in an interesting way, I guess. I don't know. Anyway, here's the idea. We have the surface that we're writing onto, we have the mask that we're writing with, and then we have the source up here, which is like the paint. So we have source, surface, and, oh, my bad, this is the mask, and surface. So in this way, what we're doing is we're taking some sort of paint and we're just throwing it at a mask onto a surface. So imagine like we're spray painting through some sort of template or something like that. So the idea is that we have, I don't know, like the template could look like this, and we put blue paint through it. Over here's the blue paint. Put this through. Oh man, it's so good I'm doing this with code because my regular drawing skills are crap. And then we get a blue smiley face on the other side. And this is what we see in the end. And that's kind of the idea, right? So we will draw something in the mask, and then we're going to throw some sort of source into it. Now the source could be anything. It could be blue, red, green. It could be some sort of gradient. The mask could be anything. Again, it could be squares, circles, anything we want. Could again be some sort of gradient. So we can draw some pretty complicated shapes here, and I think that's pretty cool. Now, when we add all of these 3 things together, we get something called a context. Now, the context is kind of an interesting thing. This is what we're basically using the whole time. We're writing to the context until we actually say Cairo draw, or Cairo paint, or Cairo stroke, or something like that. And in those cases, when we run those commands, we basically take the source mask and we project it onto the surface. And from then on, it's just a matter of taking our source and mask and continually projecting it onto the surface. Now, today, I'm going to try a couple of tricky things with this context. I don't know a few things. Can we have more than one? Hey, Hecky. On... oh my gosh. Can we have more than one on each surface? And the reason I want to know this is because we're going to end up having a whole bunch of panels to deal with, right? And these panels will all have different stuff inside of them. So if we can have more than one context on each surface, then we could technically draw more than one thing on each in each box, right? So as of last time, we were able to kind of dynamically create a whole bunch of boxes of whatever size we want, and that's great. But we still have a lot left to do. So we're going to try this first, and then after that, when we were working with curses a while ago, curses had something called Windows. Not the operating system. It was basically a square in your terminal where if you typed in window move 1 1, let's say, it would bring you to 1 1 on this square, no matter where this window was in comparison to the rest of the screen. So the next thing we need to do after implementing our boxes and everything else that we want to implement, checking to see if we can put more than one context on a surface, we then need to implement this type of guide where we have not windows, these are going to be called panels. Whoa, super original there. And the panels are what we're going to be drawing to every time. This will allow us to create scenes and stuff like that that are the same across every panel. So in other words, we can project similar backgrounds along multiple scenes. And that's actually incredibly useful if people are like maybe talking and the background is the same for multiple discussions or something like that. Now, we've got a whole bunch of other things that we can work on here, but these are what I kind of want to attack today. And we'll see how far we get from there. I think that's about it. One thing that we might do, we have like 5 minutes at the end, is I might revise the make file. The make file is kind of annoying right now. For some reason, I have to type in make clean and then make every single time. I feel like I would like, let me see. What is it? I don't remember what I was going to say. Shoot. Went in my brain and then it popped right out and then I forgot all about it. Oh yeah. I feel like I'd like not to type in make clean every time I have to make the make file. There we go. That's what I mean to say. I'm not exactly sure why every time I type in make, it says nothing to do, even though I've clearly updated the code. It's kind of a weird thing. It's not typical. Hey Simuleos, I'm a young dude with some programming skills. Would love to use them to make cool stuff like you, but I also need to eat. So I've defined a good way of making money with my coding abilities. Do you have any tips for that? Well, /Piria, forgive me if I mispronounce the name. Here's the thing. Programming isn't like a lot of other things. Programming is actually quite lucrative. You can probably find money by getting a job. And I know that sounds really weird or maybe even harsh in some way, but many people are looking for programmers. So the question is, how do you find a job as a programmer, right? And you're, first of all, asking the wrong guy. I'm a PhD student right now in some sort of university in some sort of country that may or may not be related to Japan, you know? So I'm in Okinawa right now. And my PhD studies are in physics, not computer science. So in terms of getting a job in computer science, I don't necessarily know if that's my expertise, but what I would say is just go on job listing sites. If you're good at programming, chances are you probably have a good GitHub profile. You probably have a bunch of ways to show people that you're good at programming. And even if you're not, again, people are looking for programmers. So you might be able to go on websites. So you might be able to look on websites like, for example, forgive my Reddit tab, like, for example, oh, shoot, it is. If I look up physics jobs, which I've done before, you're going to get, let me see, jobs physics today. Let me see. How about computer science jobs? No, that's not what I want. So here's what I'll do. I will look this up probably after stream. Just be sure to remind me. Send me like a message or something like that, or a private message on Twitter or something like that. Just send me something, and I will totally do this after stream, because I know that there is a site that I used to go to a lot to find jobs and stuff. But basically, since you are pretty good at programming, it's a matter of finding a job you want to do. The market is big for computer scientists, but it's not that big. So just find an interesting project to work on and just go at it. That's what I would say. Again, I apologize because it's not necessarily my area, but thanks for the question. I think it was one that a lot of people probably will be asking at some point in time. Okay, so now into the code. So if I cd into projects, where am I going? Subroutine. And I'll do the same thing over here, projects, subroutine. You'll see that we have some code available. So vi subroutine.cpp. Now this code doesn't do very much right now. If we go through, actually /Peria, today we're kind of doing less physics and more just drawing. So I understand if it's maybe not your thing, but that's okay. Yeah, I think it's gonna be fun anyway. Okay, so as of last time, we created this create scene, 15, 500, 500, which basically gives us the number of tiles we want, and then the size of each tile. So if we look at the image that we produce from here, and we do Mirage, Mirage is just my image viewer, subroutine.png, we're gonna get basically a box with 15 boxes in it. Now, here's the thing. If we, sorry, it's not even science today. It's just, man, now you're making me feel bad for doing, I like this project. It's kind of fun. But that's okay. So we end up having a box. So before I was using Ocular, so if we look up Ocular subroutine, you'll see we have 15 boxes all lined up together. And that's perfectly fine. That's exactly what we want. So what do we need to do next? Well, I just outlined it a few minutes ago. So let's go ahead and start thinking about that. The first thing we need to do is see if we can draw two things on two different contexts to the same surface. So create scene. Here, let me go ahead and comment everything out. So now we have everything all commented out. And let's redraw this, see what it looks like. Write this, go over here, make clean, make. And now we're gonna see, I mean, fair enough, /Peria. Okay, so now we're going to look at the image that we have for now. So this is the image I had before. I know it looks like crap. It's basically hello world up here and a couple of boxes. So in order to do this, we basically had to create a surface and write to that surface. So Cairo create surface. So what I want to try is after this, before destroying the surface or anything like that, or destroying the context, I'm going to go up here and create a second context. So we're going to do Cairo t, and I'm just going to call it this, cr2, and it's going to be equal to Cairo create surface. Okay, so now we have two contexts on the same surface. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to draw a new rectangle. So Cairo rectangle and cr2. Did I do an underscore? Yeah, I did. And what do we want? Let's do it from, let's see, this one goes from 0 to 200. No, it is at location 0 to 200 and it's 500 in length. So let's make this one 500, which is your x coordinate. Then we want 200, which is your y coordinate. Then we want 500. Then we want 100. And then this is going to be the rectangle we draw. However, I believe, yes, we haven't set anything on this one. So let me see what happens if we just write. We go over here. Oh, and then we have to destroy some things. So now we're going to do Cairo. Oh, man. Destroy. CR2. Right here. Go over here. Let's make clean. Make. Seems to make just fine. Ocular subroutine. But it didn't draw anything, so far as I'm aware. So let's change the color of this one and see if we can do it again. So again, CR2 should be creating on the same surface as the other one. Oh, that's because we didn't stroke it. So Cairo stroke. CR2. Okay, right here, make clean, make. Now let's look at ocular. Ah, okay, so this one worked just fine. Now one thing to notice here, and I think that's pretty cool, is that this box, this new box, is different than the other boxes, right? So this new box is black instead of blue. So the source and the mask is completely different here. And that's good. That's exactly what we wanted to see. So now we know we can basically create a whole bunch of different contexts. And each of these contexts can write to the same surface. Now, the reason I wanted to do that is because we have this thing called Cairo Move. Let me see, do I use it here? Yeah, Cairo Move to, and it moves to a particular point on a particular context. So what we want to see... Oh, /Puria. So today's project is literally just learning how to draw things with code. The entire idea is that I am going to be creating a webcomic called Subroutine, and the webcomic is basically just going to be drawn completely with code. And I wanted to see how possible this was, you know? I'm sure people have probably done something similar before, but I kind of want to see, because here's the thing. My drawing skills are really bad, but my programming skills are okay. And I figure the amount of time it would take me to learn how to draw a webcomic to any, any degree of goodness, the amount of time it would take for me to draw a good webcomic is significantly higher. The amount of time, or maybe not significantly higher, but I believe it's just as high as the amount of time it would take for me to learn how to draw the webcomic with code. And that's the idea that I'm kind of working off of. So hopefully this will work out okay. It's kind of just a little test. It's the project I use and I work on when I didn't have enough time to get the physics stuff done. Which is why /Puria, I said before, if this is not necessarily your thing, I totally understand. And you can, you can totally take a step back, relax for today, and I'll be back tomorrow with more diagonalization stuff, which should be super cool. I'm actually looking forward to it. Again, as I mentioned at the start of this episode, the problem was the paper that I was reading on diagonalization and stuff. One second, let me get it out. The paper I was reading on diagonalization at some point mentioned, okay, we have our tri-diagonal matrix from before, which again, I'm very happy we got. And then it basically said in order to get further, we have to use something called the power method, or some other similar method that uses QR decomposition. Now the thing is, it just kind of mentioned QR decomposition, and I could use Eigen's natural QR decompositor. Anyway, Eigen, the library that we're using, does have a way to do QR decomposition, and that's perfectly fine. However, that was kind of cheating, you know? Like, if I did everything else, I might as well also do the QR decomposition, just so I understand how that works. And then I'll probably make a YouTube video this weekend on eigenvalues, a YouTube video the weekend after on finding those eigenvalues numerically, probably with the Lanczos algorithm and the QR decomposition that we're doing this week. Yeah, so what I've been realizing lately, guys, is that there's actually a lot of information that I know and I just don't give out, And this is weird. Just for the record, I understand that this may not sound like typical Simuleos, but hear me out. What I've been wanting to do on my YouTube channel is provide information that is up to date, the latest stuff that I could possibly do. So my last video, which was actually 7 months ago, was on Maxwell's Daemon. And I loved that video. It was great. I enjoyed it a lot. I really liked making it and everything else. But the thing is, there's a lot of information there that I could have provided and I didn't, such as force integration, such as, I don't know, Monte Carlo methods even. There were a whole bunch of things that I just didn't make videos on that I think I should have. And so what I'm going to do from now on is I'm going to not lower my standards for videos, but create content more regularly on things that are just as interesting, but maybe not as complicated as other things. So that's kind of the thing. I want to start putting out videos on things that are interesting, that people need to know, but are not necessarily the big, Monte Carlo codes, the big Maxwell's Daemon codes. They're they're kind of smaller things, like how to find eigenvalues and things like that. Because before doing, for example, DMRG, we've got to learn how to diagonalize, we've got to learn how to find eigenvalues, we've got to learn how to do a whole bunch of different things, you know? And so if I do videos on each of those things, then if I do a more complicated video on DMRG, people should follow without any problems whatsoever. And that's kind of the idea. So on that note, there's one more thing I want to say before continuing with the code, and sorry for taking about a 5-minute break here just to chat with you guys, but what I wanted to ask was if you guys were wanting to do what I would call a tutorial Tuesday, where on Tuesday every week, Deviant MK, hey, on Tuesday, every Tuesday, I would take a step back, and instead of doing my typical code where I'm in some sort of super complicated thing that is super hard to follow, I would take a step back, and I would just teach something standard, you know, like how to compile C++ code, how to create a simple integrator, how to, I don't know, use GitHub, maybe Vim commands, lots of little things here and there, you know, that I use all the time, but I don't necessarily think about. And on that note, if you guys have anything that you want to learn that you see me using all of the time, let me know. Yeah, hecky, just like that, I think. Let me know what it is you want to learn. You know, if you want to learn, I don't know, if you want to learn Vim commands, I'm pretty good at those. You know, and I'm not the best, but I'm pretty good. If you want to learn GitHub, I use GitHub all the time. In fact, I just taught a skill pill at OIST, which is like kind of a mini course about GitHub. You know, if you want to learn programming, I can do that too. There's a lot of things I can do to kind of help you guys out. So if you have something you want to learn and you want to do the tutorial Tuesday, let me know. I think that's okay. Yeah, I could also do some sort of physics lessons too, like mechanics. That's totally true. Lagrangians and stuff can be quite complicated. Hey, Twitchlet, it's actually been a while. Okay, so what I might do then is at the end of the stream, I'll put a poll on Twitter and see what you guys actually want to learn. And I'm not going to do it this week, but maybe next week I could prepare a lesson for some sort of tutorial thing. And we'll see how it is. Also, Twitchlet, wake up. Where are you in the world that you have to wake up for these? Usually people are, it's like, I'm the only one that usually has to wake up for these, because in the US it's like the middle of the day, and I think Europe it's sometime at night or something like that. So that's interesting. Obviously you don't have to say. I find it interesting to see where my viewers are from. Okay, so we have these guys. Now what I want to try is this. We have Kairos stroke. I want to see what happens if we move to a particular location and show text like we're doing up here, except in a new context. I want to see if we can move around in that context. Yeah, it's quite late for people in Europe. Okay, so we have Cairo rectangle, we have Cairo stroke, context 2. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to basically copy all of this stuff up here, except do it for a new context. So let's go here, copy that down there, and now we're going to set font size of CR2. Oh, source RGB. So we'll change this also in CR2, but I'm going to change it to something that I can actually see. So it's going to be blue. Got to move to 0025. So we're going to move to CR2 and then CR2. And now I want to see what happens, right? This, go over here to make clean. Make. Now what I want to do, I want to run this ocular. And it looks to me, maybe I should change the color. Here, let me change the color here. Let's change it to red. Maybe pink's okay. Let's do pink. Over here, let's do make clean. Let's do make. And now let's run ocular one more time. And that's unfortunate. It did not do exactly what I thought it was going to do. Okay, so let's try this one more time. So it looks to me that, how do I put this? It looks to me that a context takes over an entire surface, right? So maybe there's a way to create a second surface. And I was hoping this would be just as easy as creating two contexts and moving around in one context and another context. But apparently the context, let me see, where do I create, is over an entire surface. So I wonder how I'd be able to create a mini context over a smaller surface. Maybe there's a way to combine surfaces in Cairo. How do I paint from one surface to another? Let's see what we got here. Compilation flags. We have create surface. That's not what I want. To another. There we are. Okay, so it says here, let's see. If you have some surface source, which you like to paint on some surface destination at point XY, you would use the code as follows. Cairo T CR equals Cairo create destination, Cairo set source surface CR source XY, Cairo paint CR. Note that the paint operation will copy the entire surface. If you'd like to instead copy some width height rectangle from source XY to some point destination XY on the destination, you would instead compute a new position for the source surface origin and use Cairo fill instead of Cairo paint. Okay, so it says Cairo set surface, set source surface. Okay. And then what they're doing is they're saying we have some sort of CR, source destination X minus source XY, Cairo rectangle, Cairo fill. And note that using a surface as the source pattern will work with any other Cairo drawing operation as well. You can use Cairo set source surface to get patterned effects from Cairo stroke or Cairo show text just as easily. Finally, by default, Cairo uses over operation when drawing. Okay, so I think what I want to do then is I want to try this. So let's see, Cairo set surface, do I use that? No, I do not. So if we do two surfaces, so let's go down here, and we're going to say Cairo surface T, surface 2, surface 2, and it's going to be equal to, what do we want? Cairo image surface create, and it's going to be basically the same as up here, except it's going to be a little bit smaller. So before we had basically something that was 1000 by 400. This one I just want to be, how big is a rectangle? 500 by 100. Let's make it 550 by 150. Oh, gosh darn it. Screwed that one up. Here we are there. Okay, so we're going to write that. So now we have a second surface in which the second context is writing to. And now let's go down here. We're going to have to destroy both contexts. Write to PNG, surface, subroutine, PNG. So how about I write from this surface, the main surface, onto the previous surface. So we're going to do, what is it? I think it's Cairo set surface. So after Cairo stroke, context 2, Cairo show text, context 2. I then want to do Cairo set surface, what was it? Cairo set surface, set source surface. There we go. And then give it an XY position to go off of. Ooh, that's quite long. Okay, source surface. I would guess this would have to be, oh, I don't know. I guess this would have to be, Cairo rectangle should probably be at 0, 0. Maybe 5, 5? Wait, what happened there? Okay, 5, 5, 500, 100, that sounds fine. And then we're going to go down here and we're going to say, this is now surface 2. And it's going to be at position. Let's say, what is it in Y or X? X is going to be 500. And Y is going to be, let's say, what is it, 200, I believe? Okay, let's go over here and make clean. Make Okay, I figured something would break. Cairo destroy. 68. Cairo, oh. I was on the right line. Okay, let's go down here. And now we have to destroy the surface. So let's go here and also Cairo, let's say surface. Destroy. Surface 2. Okay, so it looks like... Oh, you know what? I just realized something. We set source surface to surface 2. But how do we write this onto surface 2? Cairo fill? Where do we get the destination from? Cairo create destination. That's going to be a new surface, right? Then Cairo set source surface, Cairo paint. Okay, so what if we just do Cairo fill? Have I done... No, Cairo stroke should work. Let's see what happens. Right here, go over here. Gonna do make clean. Make... Oh, what did I do this time? 74. Looks like I'm missing something. Oh, I forgot a semicolon again. Oh my gosh. Okay, make clean. Make... Now we're gonna ocular, and let's see what happens. So this... Huh. Oh, this did absolutely not what I wanted it to do. Okay, I screwed up. Screwed up big time on that one. Okay, so first of all, the rectangle that I repositioned was actually not the rectangle I wanted to reposition. So let's change this back to 0 and change this back to, what was it before? 200, I believe? Maybe this one was at 500. Okay, that's perfectly fine. Okay, so Cairo stroke, where are we? This is the one I wanted to change. So let's change this to 5, 5. And now you see if we make clean, make, it's not doing at all what we wanted it to do. So ocular, it's basically just putting this on that context. Okay, so obviously this writing to surfaces thing is apparently not what I thought it would be. Let me see, Cairo format, Cairo set source surface, surface 2 at position 500, 200. I want to write two surfaces to the same destination, or whatever it's called. So let's say two surfaces, Cairo, C++. How do I write Cairo surface PNG to SD out? As long as I'm going to give Cairo, no, that's not what I want. Maybe it is in the surface or a tutorial. Let's see what happens. Surface. Oh, that doesn't. Okay. Context, verbs, fill, mask. Let's see. Is there any point here where they do two different surfaces? Let me see. Or context or something. Sorry about the yawn, guys. Let's see. Cairo pattern T. Nope. That's not what I want. Creating path, moving curves, working with transforms. Where to go next? Line width. Nope. None of this is what I want. Okay, let's go here. And let's see if we can figure this guy out then. There was one more thing they said. Not how do I paint. Finally, by default, Cairo uses the over operation. No, that's not what I want. Cairo T context is going to be equal to Cairo create destination. Cairo set source surface of the context to the source X and Y. Oh, maybe I'm doing this wrong. So maybe what I need to do, I create the surface. Okay, wait. Here's what we need to do. We have Cairo T context is equal to Cairo create with some sort of destination, right? So this is our new context. Then we say Cairo set source surface. And what we're doing here is we are setting the source. Yeah. Okay. So what I need to do is I need to draw the, let me see, surface 2 onto context. Oh, no, that's exactly what I did. What happens if we make this context 2? Let me do make clean, make, now let's do Ocular. Okay. Well, apparently this doesn't matter. Nothing apparently matters. Right here, go over here. Let's do make clean, make, and do ocular. What? These should totally be different. Okay, let me go here. Comment this guy out. Over here, let's do make clean, make ocular. What? What am I doing? Okay, so Cairo stroke. There. Cairo 2, hello world, Cairo show text. We do Cairo rectangle, Cairo stroke, the rectangle onto context 2. We then do set font size, all that kind of stuff, show text, again on context 2. However, let me see here. What happens if we just Cairo stroke, Cairo show text? What if we... Okay, so what we're trying to do over here, we have some sort set surface. So we're on some sort of context. We have some sort of source. And here our source is going to be... How do I create a surface? What is source again? Source, oops. 1 second. Source is going to be... the source is the paint. Okay. So maybe actually, guys, this is a little bit more complicated. I want to do... What does this say? How do I paint from one surface to another? It says, how do I paint from one surface to another, but it's not actually telling me how to paint from one surface to another. What it's telling me is how to use two different sources. Set source for a surface. Yeah, this is not actually what I want. Darn. Okay, let's try one more thing. We have our two different contexts. So let's see if we draw two completely different images. So write to PNG surface. Okay, so in the end, we're writing a surface to PNG. So if I write this to surface 2, and it's context 2, so I've never once written surface. Hey, Skynet. Then make clean, make. See what happens if we look at it again. Okay, now this is boggling my mind a little bit. Let's go up here. Let's remove everything to do with surface 2 and context 2. So here we're going to remove this. We're going to remove this. Let's go down to the bottom. Remove, let's see, all of this kind of stuff. CR2. I feel like I'm doing something really stupid here. Remove this. Go down here, remove this. And finally this. Okay, so now we should not see surface 2 at all. Make clean, make ocular. And we do not, we see absolutely nothing. That's fine. Now let's go up here and let's change the second rectangle to where it's supposed to be again. It's at 5500. Let me see. What does that mean? Cairo rectangle 0, 50. Cairo rectangle 0, 500. So this is 0 in X, 15 Y. Let's change it to 550. 1 second. Cairo rectangle on our current context. Let me know if you guys have any questions, because I feel like I'm moving kind of quickly, and this is actually probably a little bit complicated, unfortunately. So I'll try to explain what I'm doing a little bit more. Right now, if we look at the ocular guy, so let's look at it. I should have two rectangles, but I only have one. That's not that big of a deal. I'm just trying to figure out why it is that I only have one. So let's see. We have two rectangles that we're creating. One here, one there. One's at 0, 50, 5, and it is 500, 100 in length. The other one is Cairo. Yeah. It is at 0, 500, so it should be much farther down. Let's see what happens if I change this to 0, 0. Go over here. Let's do make clean, make, and let's do ocular subroutine. Okay, so that brought it up a little bit. But I think it should be much higher up. So let's go here and let's change this to oh, I don't know. The surface is only 400 big. Oh, maybe I need to bring it to 200. Let's do make clean, make. Now let's do ocular subroutine. Okay, there we go. That's what I wanted. Sorry, I just realized that the surface was only 200 or 400 big, and I was trying to put it at position 500. So obviously something broke. Okay, now let's try to do this context thing again. So first of all, we're going to create a second surface, and we're going to create a second context. Okay, now what we're going to do is on the second context, we're going to create a rectangle, and we're basically going to draw it of a certain size. That's fine. Now after that, we're going to say Cairo stroke. So we're going to create the rectangle on the second context. We've not touched the first context at all. We then change the font color. We do a whole bunch of different things, and we show some text there. Now, at this point, if I write from here and I run make clean, let's see, unused variable surface 2, that's fine. I then run ocular. See, that's the thing, I shouldn't see this. This extra box that I just drew should not have been drawn on the surface that is visible by anyone, right? Like it should have been drawn on the second surface. So what happens if I go down here and I do Cairo surface right to PNG, and I create a second PNG. And we're going to say surface 2, and we say we're going to call it sub2.png. Why not? If I can type, let's go here. Let's do make clean, make. And now let's see what happens if we run ocular. Okay, so that's still there. But now let's see if we ls, we should have the sub2. If we do ocular sub2.png, we get nothing. Absolutely nothing, which is unfortunate. Why not? So let's change this to, well, we'll leave that 550, but we will change the size of the rectangle to 50 by 10. Okay, so now we have the rectangle. Where is it? It's not at all. Cairo destroy context 2. Cairo set surface source. Set source surface. That's fine. Under what situation? Maybe we can only have one context active at any given moment in time. I think that's it. That's really weird. Cairo surface 2. Let me see. Cairo surface T, Cairo surface. Oh, wait a minute. Maybe this is because I'm creating the context on surface. Yeah. Let me go here. Let's change this to surface 2. Let's go over here. Make clean. Make. And now we're going to do ocular sub 2. Okay, this one's now working. And if we do ocular subroutine.png, we should see, yep, that one's working too. Okay, I got it. Really sorry about that, guys. Okay, so now let's go down here. What basically I was doing, in case you guys missed it, is I accidentally created the second context on the first surface, and I wanted the two surfaces to be distinct. So that was my problem. So now what I want to do is I want to see what happens if I draw these guys. And then I remove this guy here. Cover destroy, context 2 should be okay. Surface destroy. Right over here, let's do make clean, make. And now let's see ocular subroutine.png. The image was not drawn. Okay, why not? Let me see. Cairo set source surface. CR2. Is this what we need to do? If you have some surface source, which you'd like to paint on a some surface destination, we create a context, which is destination. Yeah, this should be right. Interesting. So why doesn't it work? Cairo set source surface. What? Cairo set source surface. Cairo rectangle. Huh. Let me see what happens if we ls remove star.png, and then we make again, make clean, make. Now we run ocular. Gosh. Okay, so let's see what else we have here. Cairo set source surface. Oh, okay, that would be why. I'm gonna have to do it the other way. This one, and then surface 2. Make clean, make. Now let's do ocular subroutine. Ah, no, it still didn't work. Okay, let me see what happens. We're stroking the... Maybe I need to... Show text. Okay, so I'm doing all of this. It's way more complicated than I thought it needed to be. Okay, so all of this stuff up here is being done on context 2. So what I want to do is write 2 contexts. One image, Cairo. Okay. Let me see. Cairo graphics, header drawing window using GDI. Man, this is really... The documentation here is really sparse. It's a super easily diagonalizable matrix of nothingness. Okay, so we can clearly have 2 contexts. Tips and tricks, none of that's useful. Documentations, maybe there's something here. API reference, cookbook samples, hieroglyphics using PostScript service, roadmap to do missing. No. Tutorials. Nope. Gosh. Okay. Keep drawing images in Cairo context. Let's see, what do we have here? Cairo surface pointer. Okay. How else could we do this? Again, the idea is that we create all of these different panels to draw to. So I could draw to an individual panel and work on one panel in and of itself. And that one panel will be a separate context to deal with. You'd expect that this would be super easy. So we are putting... I thought I did it right. So we're taking context 2. I thought it would be context 2 onto surface 1. That's what I thought it would be. Because all of these guys were working with a current context. So here, let's try, write this, go over here. Let's do make clean, make, and now let's run ocular one more time. Yeah, it's clearly not here. Dang. What happens if we draw the second guy? Oop. Let's try make clean, make. Let's try ocular. Yep, that one didn't work. Let's do ocular. Sub2.png. Okay, well, it's clearly doing something with this surface, right? So everything's still being written to this surface. And if we do it the other way, we're going to do context onto surface 2. I don't think anything's going to happen either. So let's do make clean, make. Now let's do ocular sub 2. Yeah, well, yeah, I guess that's fine. Let's do ocular subroutine.png. Yeah. Okay, so let's see. It's suggesting that we're using the Cairo paint. No, Cairo fill. So what happens if we do this? Let's do context 2, surface 1, and we go down here and we do Cairo fill context. Over here, let's do make clean, make, and now let's do ocular. Man, that's just super unfortunate. Why isn't it? Why is it not drawing? Cairo fill, Cairo stroke. Maybe this is something I should have done before stream so we could get more done. Nah, this is fine. This is fine. Okay. The Cairo fill command though, we've used before, and it like fills up a rectangle, right? What if we do 2? Let's do make clean, make. Let's try ocular subroutine. No. Okay. In this case, does each context apply to the entire surface while only drawing the panel you're interested in? Okay. So each context applies, yes, it does apply to the entire surface, while only drawing the panel you're interested in. What I want to happen is I want to have a way to move around each individual comic panel, right? So the idea would be that I'd say, I want to move to 1010 in, let's say, panel 2, and then I could draw in panel 2, right? It makes it so much easier to work with if I can do this. Now, I can't figure out how to do that because I cannot figure out how to draw an individual context and put it onto the same surface as another context. So I don't know what this is doing right here. Cairo set source surface. It doesn't seem to make very much sense to me because the idea is that we're writing to a surface, as it says in the documentation. You have some surface called source that you'd like to paint some surface destination at point XY. Okay, so we're creating a context on the surface destination. We assume we already have some surface source. Sorry, Twitchlet. So if we already have some surface source, and we want to write it on some surface destination, we do that. And then Cairo paint. Oh wait, what is this? Okay, so it says Cairo set surface. And it says if you'd like to instead copy some width height rectangle from source X, source Y, okay, to some point destination X, destination Y. On the destination, you would instead compute a new position for the source surface origin and then use Cairo fill instead of Cairo paint. So what I want to do is I actually want to try Cairo paint. Make clean, make ocular. That wasn't what I wanted. And that might be because I did something stupid here. So let's do CR2 to surface. No, it's the current context with the second surface. Write this, go over here, make clean, make ocular. Okay, did it. Fantastic. Woo! Okay, now onto the hard stuff, right? It took me an hour to do the easy stuff. By the way, guys, I want to point something out. I do this a lot. I will say something is easy. When something is easy to me, that doesn't mean it's actually easy. It means I understand that it is possible. Does that make sense? Not that I even understand how to do it. I just understand that it's theoretically possible. And this is something that I've picked up. It's a bad habit. I know it's a bad habit. I've been trying to fix it, but it is something that I do. And so I wanted to point it out real quick that if I say something's easy and you don't understand it, that's because easy to me means something completely different than easy to everyone else. Easy to me basically means it's doable, which could mean it's doable in 20 years' time, but it's doable, right? And so just to let you know that if I say something and you guys are like, oh, that's not easy at all, that's because it's probably not easy. But this was easy. It was just me incorrectly reading documentation. So that's fine. Okay, so now what I need to do is I need to go up here and we need to create a special class. So let's go down here. I don't know what you mean, Deviant MK, so I apologize. Let's go down here, comment that out. It's not that bad of a habit. If I say something is easy, it's obvious from my perspective. People just have to stop being offended and thinking someone is calling them dumb. Well, here's the thing. I used to do a lot of TAing, so I used to teach labs for certain physics labs at Auburn University when I was there. And I also used to help with, tutoring high school students and things like that. And when I was teaching them physics, I would always say, oh, it's super easy. And then they would get super discouraged. And the thing is, this stream is about kind of learning and doing things and stuff like that. And if I discourage people from doing that, I'm really not doing my job well. You know what I mean? So I just wanted to be as open as possible. So Deviant MK, I realized maybe I'm being too sensitive in a way, and I can slash Pyria. I might also be being a little bit too sensitive in a way. But I don't know. I think it's smart to make sure that I'm not excluding certain groups of people. So that's why I try to keep this as family friendly as possible. Okay, so now we have to create a class. And the class is going to be called panel. Okay, so now that we know we can have multiple contexts on a single thing, how do I put that? We can have multiple contexts on a single panel. We're going to have to do a whole bunch of different things. So for each panel, we're going to have to basically do some stuff. So let's go here. And let's say panels, plural. Maybe panel. Yeah, it doesn't matter. Okay. Class to hold all panel data. Okay, so how are we going to do this? Well, let me think about that. I had this all planned out before. We need a couple of different things. So in private, we need a couple of data structures, and in public, we're going to need a couple of functions. One second, let me get a drink of water. Now, one thing that's actually nice about this is that I think we're not going to actually need very much here. I actually encourage them, if you say it's easy, they'll try to take at it. Same thing happened to me when I was at school, but remember that whoever really wants to learn, you guys can consult with you. Sorry about my voice, it's gotten kind of raspy for no apparent reason. I used to think that too, Deviant MK, but I don't know, it's one of those things, I'd rather be inclusive than exclusive. Is that the way to say it? I would rather it be that everyone is, some people I think don't think that way, is all I'm saying. And I just would rather make sure that I'm not accidentally excluding people. So, plus, my roommate actually kind of got on to me yesterday for saying something was easy. And so I totally agree with what he's saying. That in the end, it's not technically easy. It could take 20 or 30 years worth of actually getting the engineering done in order to implement it physically. And I would still say that's easy. Because it's intuitively, it's possible. So I have to, I have to keep that in mind. So that's something I really like to, or I'd like to consider. Hey OC Master, thanks for coming back in. Okay, so what do we have here? We have some sort of class for panels. Now what I'm thinking here is maybe we don't actually need a class, we just need some sort of vector of contexts. So let's go here and let's do include vector. Okay, now if we have some sort of vector of, oh, I'm actually doing well, OC Master, I realized I didn't answer your question. If we have some sort of vector of contexts, right? In here, all we're doing with all the contexts, so we need some sort of vector of context and vector of everything else. So for now, let's just keep everything public and we'll worry about privatizing it later. So let's go here, and we're going to say we need a couple of different things. So we're going to have, let's say int numPanel. Okay. Then we also need, oh, I guess there are a couple more ints. So we want int numPanel, and we also want int box height and box width. Let me see. Personally, when my teacher said something I wasn't understanding was easy, I just felt like slapping them and asking if it's so easy, then why haven't they managed to pass that knowledge on to me yet? I would troll them like I troll them in LOL. After every game, easy. Yeah, so that's the thing. That's exactly what I mean, /Pyria. Sometimes I will do something incredibly complicated, and then I'll say it's easy. It's not actually easy. I'm just pointing that out. That was why I brought up the conversation. Okay. We have int numPanel, int box height, int box width. That's fine. That's everything we need for create scene. Now we need to add new stuff. So we need vector of, let's say, Cairo T. And we're going to call these, well, maybe, but, okay. So vector Cairo T. And what do we want to call this? We're going to call it, oh, I don't know. Let's call it, actually, we could probably initialize this, couldn't we? Let's see. So create scenes with surfaces. So what we need first is we need vector of Cairo surface. This isn't going to work, is it? T. And then, it's rare to find good teachers. Most just do it for a paycheck. The good teachers I remember always made me learn the subject no matter what it was. Interestingly, in the U.S., in the U.S. at least, teachers do not get paid all that much. And so, I don't know, my mom's a teacher, right? And she genuinely enjoys teaching, but sometimes her students get, onto her, right? Or like her students sometimes pull out the worst in her. And I think that happens a lot with teachers, where they're teaching and they're doing what they really love to do, which is inspiring students to learn. But you just get so bogged down because you've got 30 students per class and you've got 7 classes a day, and it's just hard, to really balance everything, So I guess I'm just trying to say cut some teachers some slack. I think in the end, they're actually doing their best to teach you exactly what it is you need to learn, but they can't really express it very well, maybe. Yeah, we had an electronics teacher who asked to recite the whole paragraph for definitions. I had a couple of really cool and engaging teachers in high school, and learning from them was a really enjoyable experience. Yeah, and I think that's totally true, guys. It's just, I don't think teachers are intentionally, oh, well, okay, maybe some of them are, but I don't think the bulk of them are intentionally teaching incorrectly, if that makes sense. I think they're just trying their best, and it doesn't work the same way as they would expect. But that's just my opinion. Maybe I'm wrong. So we need to create a whole bunch of surfaces. Cairo image create surface. Okay, so we're going to call this panel surface. And we're going to go down here and we're going to call this panel context. Okay, and I'll be using CTX for that. Okay, so we have our context, we have our surfaces, and in the end, I just want to read in this one class to the create scene function. So let's go down here and let's read in just panel. I guess comic? I guess that's fine. And I'm also going to add in another surface and another context, which is going to be background. So we're going to say Cairo surface T. Let's do T. And it's going to be background dot surface and Cairo surface. Oh, Cairo T. Sorry about that, guys. Cairo T is going to be equal to BG underscore context. Write that. By the way, Inkscape uses Cairo if you want to dig into its source code for problem solving. Actually, that might be incredibly useful. Okay, so here we have all of our panels in some sort of big class. And again, I want to basically read in one big guy here. Okay, and that guy's going to be panel comic. So let's go here and let's go ahead and see how this works. So what we need to do is read in comic here and go down to create scene. And I'm sorry, should be up here somewhere. Yeah, there we are. Create scene int numbox, and we're gonna have to modify this too. So again, I'm basically going, oh man, I feel bad for this, but I'm basically going to have the same image output I had before at the end of this, episode, I guess, but it's going to be made in a different way. And so hopefully that's interesting enough. And I apologize if today's not your thing. Again, we're gonna get back to some physics stuff tomorrow. So what I wanna do here is I want to comment this out. And I want to say, this is for testing purpose. Okay. And let's move this forward a little bit. Go down here. I'm actually glad to hear that Inkscape uses this though, because sometimes I'm afraid that I just pick something at random, you know, some sort of project to work on. And I'm always afraid that that project that I'm working on is a little bit, how do I put it? Like, it's not what I need to be doing. Like, I'm afraid that there are more efficient ways to do it. But since Inkscape uses it, I really have the feeling that this is a good package to be using. Okay, so let's go down here and let's say panel comic. Okay, now we're going to say that comic dot, what do we want? Num panel. And let's set this equal to, let's do 6. Now let's do 5. 5 is the fun one. Okay, now we're gonna say comic dot box height is going to be equal to, let's say, we'll make it 100 by 100 because I don't really care about size at this point. Comic dot box height. I already did that one. Box width is going to be equal to 100. Okay, and that should be everything I need to read in at this point. Everything else should come back out. So what I need to do here is I actually need to change this comic. I think, oh, because I'm modifying the information, I should probably do that. Okay, so let's go down here. If numbox is equal to 1. Okay, so let's go down here. Numbox. What do I have up here? I have num panel. Okay, so let's go down and let's change all of the num boxes to num panels. And this is done very simply with a search and replace. So it's going to be this num box is going to be replaced with comic.num panel. Well, there we are. G. Oh, and in case you guys are not familiar with VI or Vim, I just want to point something out. This guy right down here is what I just typed in. Okay, and this is a very special thing. This is a command that I'm running in Vim. So the idea is that this is running the search command, and it's taking all the entries that are numbox, and it's replacing with comic numpanel, and it's G, which is global. I could also do C, which would be which would ask me for whether I actually want to do it with every individual instance. So let's do that. So it's now asking, hey, do I want to change this one? And of course, yes, I do. Do I want to change this one? Yes. Do I want to change this one? Yes, 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 yes. Hit return. Okay, so now you notice something interesting. If I search for num box, there will still be some in the code right here. I guess it's just this one, but that's because there was already a num box in this particular line. So I have to change this one differently. So what I should have done is if I would have just run it globally, it would have fixed this one. But I didn't. I ran it with the search and replace command. And I think CG will fix these two, but I'm not sure. So let's do comic.num panel. Okay. And actually, I'm just going to change this to num panel. Actually, we don't really need this line anymore. I'm going to delete it. Now you'll notice that this kind of messed up the formatting on some of the things here. So I'm just gonna kind of fix those guys kind of here and there. So now what I need to do is I need to go through and fix all these box heights and box widths. And this is the reason why I would use the other command. So let's go here. And let's do this real quick. So we're going to globally change all of the box heights and box widths to have an additional comic dot before it. So we're going to say box height, and then we're going to say comic dot box height G. Same thing with box width. So we're going to say S, and it's going to be box width comic dot box width. Okay, and it's going to be globally. Now let's go up to the top, and you'll notice something else. This changed. Let's see. Here it is. This changed this guy up here. So we have to remove the comics from the class, and that's fine. Okay, let's go down to the bottom. Cairo is not suitable for many things. Check out Skia, maintained by Google and Mozilla. It's used in their web browsers. Open link. Let me see, what do we have here? Skia is an open source 2D graphics library which provides common API that works across a variety of hardware and software platforms. It serves as a graphic engine for Google Chrome and Google OS, or Chrome OS, Android, Mozilla, Firefox, and Firefox. Skia is sponsored by okay. So yeah, it definitely looks like this guy has probably a little bit more features, or a few more features. Let me see, Skia. Google Skia. Let me see. Skia uses C++11, but as a library, we are technically limited by what our clients support and what our build bots support. Skia may also be limited by restrictions we use, or we choose. By restrictions we choose put on ourselves. Is that English? Skia may also be limited by restrictions we choose to put on ourselves. Okay. This document is not concerned with C++11 policy in Skia. It's technically feasible. Let me see. The clients pay attention to Chrome, Android, Mozilla. Yeah, okay, so I could have used Skia too. Right now, since we've already started using Cairo, I'm going to stick with that. Because, yeah, in the end, the worst case scenario, I'll just have to implement Skia has done manually instead of having it do it automatically. I realize it's kind of a pain, but that's okay. So Cairo rectangle. Let's go ahead and fix this guy up a little bit so that it is a little bit cleaner. And now here's the thing. When I code, I always stick to the 80 column rule. And I know the 80 column rule is archaic. It's from like the 1970s when code was originally being written, yada yada. I get that. However, it makes the code a lot cleaner in my opinion. And in the end, I prefer readable code to code that maybe is written in a modern way, if that makes sense. Like, a lot of times I find that modern code is not particularly readable. And again, I always kind of prefer readable code. Yeah, so I guess I have enough space for this guy up here. Okay, let's go here. And when I say readability, in this case, I don't necessarily mean... Oh, this is annoying. Let's do I-1 here. I don't necessarily mean that code that is written over 80 columns is not readable. I simply mean that, for me, it's much easier to put a whole bunch of vertical columns down, and these vertical columns are kind of like my terminals to code in. So if I have like 5 terminals up, which is what I typically do, I can put code in each of those 5 terminals so that I don't have to switch between a whole bunch of different, tabs or something. It makes it easier for me. Okay, so comic.box height. Let's go down here and let's... Oh, sorry about that. Put this on a new line. Just because that's apparently how it goes. Oh well. Why am I not? It's just because I don't like, I don't know. I got used to Vim, or VI actually in this case, and I like it. It's super useful, works exactly how I want it to work, does everything I want it to do, and there are a few features that make it super nice. So Sublime Text Editor, I have to use my mouse, you know, I don't like using my mouse. So like doing things like this, I don't do so often, only when copying and pasting. I don't know, it's just, so like, for example, if I open up LibreOffice and I just write a document and I just start typing, you know, and then I enter some lines and I keep typing, something like this, right? There are a few things I have to do in order to copy and paste and things that just are not intuitive to me. For example, if I want to delete this line, I have to highlight the line and click backspace or something like that. To open up a new line and type on it, that's easy. It's just enter, but I don't know, there are just a few things working here that just are not intuitive to me. I just don't, it doesn't make sense to me. Oh, let's say I had, don't save. Let's say I had like, so here, let's go down to the bottom of this code and let me set number. You'll see that there are 185 lines. So if I set no number, just to take it off, and I go to line 80, super easy to do. So if I have like thousands of lines of code, it's super easy to transverse in Vim. It's just not as easy in other text editors, you know? And it's just because I'm used to this, you know? If I was used to other text editors, I'd use those, right? But this is just the one I'm used to. So that's basically the answer. Sorry to ramble. Okay, so now we have all this kind of stuff. And what am I doing here? I should have a surface height and surface width. And what I want to do is I want to say surface width is equal to comic background, surface height. That's perfectly fine. Now where do I do image surface create? Here it is. So what I want to say is not the surface itself, but I want to say comic dot background surface is equal to this. And then it should be that every time I use surface from now on, which I don't think I use so frequently. Oh, maybe I do. Cairo create. Who will say background context? Yeah. Where else do we use surface width? I guess I don't use it too frequently after that. So let me go up here and let me look for surface again. Yeah, now let's search down. Surface. There. Okay. Then we do Cairo stroke context, which basically draws everything to the background. Cairo destroy context. Ah, so I see what I did here. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to stroke this onto the background. And then what I want to do is I want to see if this makes. So let's do make clean. Make. Okay. Panel.box height is private within this context. 1. Okay. Let me do this then. Let me change this to a struct for now. And let's do make clean. Make. Okay. So this gave us significantly fewer errors. Let's clear, clear, clear. Let's do it one more time. Make. Okay. Vector. Does not name a type. That's fair enough because it's std vector. Let's go here. And of course I could use the namespace std. That's fine. Okay, so field bg surface as an incomplete type. Cairo surface t. Subroutine 18. Maybe I should do it this way. Oh, maybe it's because I didn't put an equal sign. Okay, let's go here. Let's make it one more time. Oh, let's clear a couple times. Now let's make it one more time. Oh, that helped. Okay. Maybe it's because of these stars. Clear. Clear. Make. Was not because of the stars. Okay, so let's see what happened. These are all breaking somewhere. Int main struct panel has no member named comic. Okay. So let's go to 32. Oh, why am I putting equals? It was the other way around. They should be this way. because I'm naming it. What am I doing? Okay, so let's do 32. Comic. That doesn't make any sense. I don't know why it has it twice. Let's see, what else do we have? Error. Expected initializer before the dot token. Okay, let's go down to 121. And let's just say, we've already initialized it. So let's just say comic background surface. And we should be doing the same thing for this one. Background context. Okay. And we should say 128. Cairo set source, it should be background context. And this one should also be background context. This one should also be background context. Maybe we should just set context equal to background context for now. Nah, it's okay. Context. Next. Background. Next. Background. Next. Background. How many more are there? And that's it. Right here. Let's go over here. Let's make it one more time. So clearly we have another error. I'm not sure where this one's coming from. So let me clear it a couple times. And for the record, guys, the reason I'm clearing is because if I scroll up, it clearly delineates where I am. How do I put this? Where I started the make command, right? So if there's so many errors, you know, and I keep running again and again, it's kind of harder for me to tell. So that's why I always kind of clear beforehand. Let's see, 125. Background context is equal Cairo create surface. Background context, Cairo create surface. Yeah. Yeah, this should be background surface. Background context. What do you mean it was? Oh, that's because it's comic.background context. Oh my gosh. Okay. So we're gonna have to go through and fix all the surfaces and background surfaces, but let's go to 179. Cairo destroy background. Background. And here again, background. Okay, so now let's do another search and replace. And we're going to do background surface with comic.background surface. This is going to screw up the editing, but for now it's okay. And then we're going to say the same thing except for background context. So it's S background context. And then we're going to say comic.background context. Okay. G. Let's write this over here. Let's see what happens when we make it. Still a bunch of arrows. Clear. Okay, let's see what happens. Make it. And, okay. What's the problem now? Expected a semicolon. What the heck? Why are we getting errors now? Okay. 18. Cairo surface. T. Maybe I'm not allowed to do... Oh, that's because... One second. Shoot. Okay, let's do a search and replace real quick. And it's going to be of... background context. With BG CTX. G. Okay, what else do we have? Background surface, comic.background surface. Strike panel has no name. Yeah, I figured that was a problem. Okay, so let's clear it a couple times again. Over here, clear. And let's do make. Okay, I'm not sure exactly why all these guys are popping up. So hopefully when we fix all the other errors, this will... Okay, let's go to the top. Let's see, what do we have here? Background surface. Somehow I've comic twice in 121. That's fair enough. Okay, now let's do clear, make. Okay, now we're clearly getting some other error. I'm not sure where this is coming from. Make user invalid. I don't know what this is. Instantiation of SD vector base. So for now, because we're not using these vectors, let's remove them. And we'll see if we can do something with them in a bit. Okay, let's do clear, make. Okay, so this one actually worked. ls. Let's remove star.png. Okay, and let's make it one more time. Now let's do, make. Okay, now what we're gonna do is ocular, run the last one. Okay, so this is way, way different than what it was before, but it's actually the same thing. We have our boxes, everything's fine. It's just because the screen itself is smaller here. The outline looks a lot bigger. Okay, so now let's see, how are we gonna do this? We wanna create a Kairos, let's do it this way. Let's, instead of using vectors, let's do this. And see if this is possible. I feel like it's not, but I want to try it anyway. So it's going to be width size num panel, which is not, this isn't going to work. This isn't going to work at all. Clear. I feel like I'm saying clear before like a bomb site or something like that. Make clean, make. Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay, let's set this to some standard number. Instead of num panel, let's just set it to 10. And let's set this to 10. Make. Yeah, that's what I thought. Panel surface has incomplete type, Kairos surface T. What happens if I do this? Oh, that one made. Yeah. Or like a paramedic. It is actually quite like a paramedic. Okay, so that one made. Awesome. Okay, so what do I need to do now? What I need to do... About to apply a shock to the heart? Yeah, pretty much. Okay, so that one made just fine. Fantastic. Super excited. So, what I can do... sorry about that. How do I want to do this? I could, at the very top, define something, but I don't really like that. How about every time I create the class panel, I read in something? So let's go here, and let's read in int num panel. Am I allowed to do this? I feel like I might or might not be able to. Hey, Frankie for Chess. Thanks for coming in. Okay, so let's go ahead, move that, and let's see what happens if we go down here, and we remove this guy, go up here, and we say 5. And we do make clean, make this is gonna break. Yeah, okay, but where does it break? Struct panel, expected unqualified ID before int. What happens if we change this to a class real quick? And we change everything to public. Class, we go down here. Oop, what happened there? Okay, public, set number. So we're gonna say from 16 to 20. We are going to add at the very start 4 spaces. Ah, dang. Let's try it again. So from 16 to 20, we are going to, oh, there was, I forgot the S. Add 4 spaces. There we go. Set no number. Okay, good. Comic has an incomplete type. Okay. Hey, Chicken Skill, thanks for coming in. Okay, so let's go ahead and write this. Let's see how it breaks. Make. Let's see. So it looks like int num panel. We're not allowed to do that. So how do we read values into a class? Initialize class with variables C++. Correct place to initialize class variable. Class foo. Let's see. Public. Private. Initializing class member variables. Constructors. If I can't find this for now, I'll just kind of struct s, int s, s, int. Wait a minute. What is this? Constructor declaration. Okay. So what we need. Okay, I'm just not going to worry about this for now. I realize I need to create a constructor, and that's fine. I'll do that in a bit. For now, let's just go ahead and leave this as is without initializing it this way. Let's go here. Let's DD that. And let's go up here and create, should be define num panel as 5. Variable for the number of panels. Okay. Then every time we see num panel, we are removing the comic beforehand. Let's just do it this way. Comic dot num panel with num panel. Oh, added a space. Okay, G. Now let's see what happens if we write this. Go over here, make that one made. Okay, so this one made, it should be perfectly fine. And again, guys, I'll worry about being proper with that later. For now, let's go ahead and go through here and let's get everything working. So we have an array of contexts, and in the array of context, the array is of num panel size. Now, I tried to use a vector with this, and it didn't like using the vector, so I'm going to go ahead and delete that. DD. Now what we need to do, because we're reading in all of these guys here, is we need to initialize all of these guys to be a particular surface. So where do we initialize the surfaces? Should be initial surface and context, surface width, and surface height. Okay, so we have comic.box width, comic.box height, surface width, yeah. So this is all to create our background surface, which we'll write to later, and background context. Now what we need to do is create the panel, surfaces, and contexts. Okay, and when I say initial, I mean background. Background, okay. So, again, guys, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, anything like that, let me know, and I'll totally get to those as soon as I see them. Okay, so now we have to create the panel surfaces and context. So let's go through, and we're going to say for I equals 0, I less than, I less than num panel, I plus plus, or plus plus I, which is what I'm trying to use from now on. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to say comic dot, let's say panel, what is it, panel surface? Is this right? Box with panel surface, that's it. Oh man. Okay, so we have panel surface of I, and then we're basically going to create it at the appropriate size and stuff like that. So this is going to be equal to, let's see, background surface, Cairo image surface create, and instead of being surface width and surface height, it's going to be box width and box height. So here we are, box. I could probably fit box height in here. Oh no, I can't. Ah, I'm off. Okay, never mind, forget that. And it's gonna be box height. Now we do the same thing with the context. So we go in here, we do comic dot panel context, of I is going to be equal to what we have up there. So Cairo create, comic dot, except in this case, it's going to be not background surface. It's going to be panel surface of I. Okay, so now let's see what happens if we make this, because I feel it's not going to work. Make. Okay, that's what I thought. Box height and box width are not defined. Okay, so this is all just because I'm an idiot. It has absolutely nothing to do with the fact that I'm writing bad code. So let's go here and let's do int. Let's go here and say comic dot. Make. I can't believe this is making. This is actually super cool. I was expecting this to totally break. Okay. So we now have initialized everything. Now what we need to do is every time we create a comic box, what we need to do is write it to the comic panel surface. Does that make sense? So we're creating 5 panels, and we need to go in, and every time we create a panel, we need to draw to that panel instead of drawing to the background. And then at the end, we're going to draw to the background. So what do we have here? Cairo set source, comic, background, CTX. What we should probably also do, and all of these guys, is we should set the sources and stuff like that. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that here. Setting, border, and source. Okay. So we're basically going to copy these guys, which I screwed up doing. Oh, sorry about that, guys. And we're going to say comic dot surface. What the heck? Comic dot, there's the X, panel, context of I is this, and again panel, context of I is that. Okay, so, and we're just going to set the borders and source the same as it is down here. Okay, if we need to draw boxes, if num_panel is equal to 1, now we need to draw boxes. Cairo rectangle, comic.background context. Nope, we are writing this into panel context of, there's only 1, so 0. Comic.box width, comic.box height. Okay, sounds good to me. If number panel in mod 2 equals 0, so this means we have an even number of panels. How are we going to do this? We should probably keep track of a total number of contexts that we're dealing with. So let me see. What I'm going to do right now is I'm going to comment all of this guy out, and you'll kind of see why in a second. What I did here was something kind of special, and I have to kind of take that into account. So let's say at the very start here, before the for loops, we set a variable that's going to be int total, and we're going to set it equal to 0. We go down here, we're going to say total. Oh, in the end, we're going to say is going to be plus equals 1. And let's go down here and let's go ahead and create this. So first we need to create the rectangle, which should be exactly what we had before. Let's go ahead and copy that, except change ever so slightly. So instead of background context, this is now panel context of tote. Maybe I shouldn't have called it tote. Running sum. It's okay. We're just going to say this is going to be at position 0, 0, at size box width. So this should be 0. And the next one should also be 0. Up here, comic.box height. And of course, comic.box width. Or whatever. I mix them up, but that's fine. And then tote plus equals 1. Okay. Yeah. Now we do the same thing here for mod 3. And before any of these cases, I'm just going to create a new guy. Wait, what? Did I do have an extra space. Okay, so we're going to say int tote is going to be equal to, let's define tote somewhere else. Let's define tote at the top of this guy. So before going into any of these if statements, we're going to say int tote equals 0. Okay, now let's go down here. And I realized I did something kind of stupid and it's kind of bugging me now. So 1, 2, 3, 4, yeah. Yeah, so I need to delete a space. 1 second. Wait a minute, what happened? Oh my gosh. Did I just screw up? Wait, let me see. So we're here. Open. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's at the appropriate number. Case. Ooh, wait, maybe that's it. 1 second. Oh, wait a minute. Ha! Oops. Okay, so now I need to add a space here to each of these guys because I'm an idiot. Sorry about that. I know formatting's not a big deal for most people, but I care. And 1 space drives me nuts, and I realize there is a better way to do this. Shh. Don't tell me about it. I should have done it the other way. That's why I always do it the other way. Anyway, almost done. Here. Okay. There we go. Perfect. Okay, it's all aligned. We're fine. Fantastic. Okay, so now we have tote. Let's go down here. Assuming this, let me just go ahead and set tote equals 0 again. And let's do it again down here. Okay, so now we're going to go through here, and we're going to do the same thing we just did. So let's open this up, copy this guy, do tote plus equals 1. Not tote. All right, and now let's change this to panel context of tote. And then this is going to be 0. And the next one's going to be 0. And let's go down here and do what we need to do. This is going to be comic width. And this is going to be height. Okay. And then we should copy that there. D. And comment these guys out for now. Okay. Now down here, we have case 2. And in case 2, what do we need to do? I think it's the same thing. Yeah, it looks like it's the exact same thing. So Cairo rectangle. Wait a minute. What am I doing here? I forgot to comment this. Okay, so first of all, this is going through creating initial rows of 3. Placing final row of 2. Okay, there we go. Let's go here and work on it. Okay, copy this. That was my stomach. If anyone heard it, I'm really sorry. Kind of hungry. I ended up skipping dinner last night because when I was coming home from the airport picking up my roommate, the muffler of the car fell off. So I kind of, I don't know, I got home late and I just didn't eat dinner because I don't like eating right before going to bed. So anyway, we have surface, context, tote. Change these again to 0, 0. Go down here and comic width and height. There we go. Okay, and finally the last one, gonna be exactly the same as the ones before it. Yeah, that's fine. DD. Oh, never mind. This is a little bit different. Kind of rectangle. Oh, I see what I did. Okay. Sorry. Okay, let's go here. And we're going to do tot plus equals 1. I think I have semicolons on all of those. And this is, of course, going to be surface context. Or panel context of tot. Then the next one's going to be 0, 0. Which means I can delete this guy. And this guy and that guy. And I'm left with just those guys. Exactly as it's supposed to be. Okay, now let's go down here and let's comment these guys out. Okay, so as you can see, what we've changed here is we've went through and we've basically written to every individual surface. So if we write to just the background surface, which is what we have right now, we shouldn't see anything. So let's go here and let's do make clean, make, and let's fix all these errors up. So the first one is going to be in 130. I don't know why I've been having this. Wait, oh, I'm sorry. The first one's going to be in 156. Comic.box width expected a. That's because I forgot a comma here. Okay. Too few arguments in function Cairo rectangle 156. I think that's the same line I'm on. Yep. And then finally in 186, class panel has no member surface context. Oh, of course it doesn't. So 186. And it's going to be not surface context, but panel context. Okay. Make. Okay, now if we run the last ocular command, we should see a completely blank image, which is what we see. Now, if we write anything to the surface, oh my word. I just found a super easy way to do this. Okay, we create the rectangle, and then what do? We do, what did I do before? I think we wrote all of them to, yes, okay, so what we did is we went up here, right here, how did we do this? We said set source surface, and we used the context onto the surface. No, I think it was the other way around. We said we want to write the surface onto the context. That's what we wanted to do. Okay, so let's do the same thing down here. And it takes an XY location. So we have Cairo rectangle. So what we need to do is down here. Actually, let's just do this for one panel for now. Nope, one panel for now. Set line width if num panel equals 1. Yeah, okay. So now we're going to do Cairo set source. What is it? Cairo set source surface. Down here, surface. And what do we want to do? We want to read the context. So it's going to be comic dot what context? It's going to be background context with the current surface we have. So it's going to be comic dot panel context of 0 at 0, 0. Okay, so let's see what happens if we go up here and we change this to 1. Let's do make clean, and then make. Let's see, background context. Oh. That's perfectly okay. Thanks for coming in, Screamer Chaotix. Okay, 1 second, let's go over here, and let's look for background context. And let's remove this to CTX, because that's how I've been abbreviating them all. Over here, and let's make it one more time. And what's the problem? It says, recipe for target subroutine failed. Let's do clear. And let's try and make one more time. Cannot convert Cairo to Cairo surface T for argument 2 and void Cairo set source. Wait, what? What did I do? Panel context. That's because they should be panel source. No. Surface. Okay. Write this, go over here, and make. That one made. Let's look at the image. Ocular. That didn't look right. Is that because I did not draw the rectangle? No, I did draw the rectangle. Dang it. Let's see. Let's do box width -1. A box height. 1 second. -1. Over here, let's make clean. Make. Okay, now let's see. Okay, still no border. Okay. What did I do wrong? Set source RGB should all be black. That's fine. Set line width 5 should also be fine. Cairo set source surface comic background context panel surface. This should be right? Let's go up here and check what we did before. So before we did Cairo set source surface, we did the context that we were going to be putting. Yeah, that should be right. Oh, we forgot Cairo paint. I did that last time too, and it took me like 30 minutes to figure it out. Okay, so let's go down here, set source surface, then we do Cairo paint. Paint. And what do I want? What do I want? Comic.background context. Okay, let's see what happens if we write this, go over here, make clean, make, and then finally ocular subroutine. Oh, I thought that was it. But there's still no border. There should totally be a border. Comic background height, comic background context. When I did Cairo paint, it was that correct context. Let's go down to the bottom. Comic.background surface, subroutine. Comic.background context. Maybe it's because I did a Cairo stroke afterwards. Let's do make clean, make, then we do ocular subroutine. Dang. Okay, so this is not working the way I thought it would. For some reason, we're not able to draw a border around this like I thought we would. Could have sworn this would have been just as easy as what we did before, but I guess I was wrong. So let's see, what do we have here? Cairo image surface source, or image surface create Cairo format. Yeah, that should be okay. Comic panel context Cairo create. Real Q Dead. I do not play video games on this channel. No, I do not. This is actually specifically for doing either physics simulations or some sort of programming. I apologize for that if you came in hoping to see some sort of video game playing. No, I don't. I actually don't play video games much in general anymore, unless it's with friends or something like that. So I might play video games on this channel once or twice, but it'd be it's like once in a blue moon type of thing. So, again, I apologize if you came in wanting to see someone play games. Okay, so we have Cairo rectangle. We obviously created the rectangle on the appropriate panel. And then we said, comic.background context, comic panel surface. Is it because, let me see something. So last time when we did the rectangle, we did something with the rectangle. Yeah, so we stroked it onto the context first. Let's stroke it. Stroke the context. Oh, I do a lot of GPU computing and stuff, and so I wanted a good graphics card for that. 970 was okay. I should have gotten, looking back, I should have gotten some sort of, let's see, specific GPU for computing, but at the time I just kind of grabbed a good graphics card on the market, which was a 970. So it's literally because of GPU computing, not because of gaming. Okay, so let's go down here. Cairo image surface create, that's not what I want. Here it is, if num panel equals 1. So after creating the rectangle, I want to do Cairo stroke, and then I want to stroke the context. So comic dot panel context of 0. I think that's all I need to do. Write this, go to make clean, make ocular, boom, got it, border on the screen. Oh yeah. Fantastic. Okay, so now we have that done. Let's go up and let's fix this one around a little bit. So let's keep this at, actually, no, this is fine. We will just remove this for now, and then we'll worry about making the borders better in a bit. Now we have to do the same thing with everything else. Okay, so Cairo rectangle has been created. Tote is equal to tote plus 1. And before adding tote is equal to tote plus 1, we should probably right here go and do Cairo stroke of the context. So Cairo stroke of the panel. Oh gosh, do I have enough time for this? Comic dot panel context of tote. Okay, so we stroked it on. Now after stroking it on, we have to appropriately position everything. This is where things are going to get tricky. So we have Cairo rectangle down there. So at the end, after these for loops, right here, we now need to paint. Oh, it's set. Wait, what's the best way to do this? I guess while we're in this for loop, we need to go from there, right? So let's go down here and let's, first of all, add some comments in here. Painting background box to surface. Okay, we'll do the same thing here. Just before tote plus equals 1. Painting, 1 second, background box to surface. Okay, it's gonna be the same thing. So we just did Cairo stroke. Dang it. To keep it consistent, I should probably put this under there. Okay, DD. Now we have to set source at the appropriate position. So Cairo set source. Background context. Okay. This is where things are going to get a little bit tricky. So we're going to do panel surface tote. After this, we're going to have to go down here and give it an appropriate XY position. So, how are we going to do this? What I did before was I times comic.box width and j times comic.box height. Let's try that. So we're going to do xi times comic.box width and j times comic.box height. Box height. Oh gosh, it's 7 o'clock. Let's try this real quick. So we're just going to do 4. What do we want? Panel comic. Yeah, so let's try with 4 panels. Oh. Four panels. And now let's make clean, make. Okay, that one seemed to work. Let's do ocular. Okay, that didn't work. Why didn't it work is because I didn't paint the scene at the end. Okay, so we did Cairo set source surface. And then what I failed to do was down here, do Cairo paint. 1 second, paint. And then we're gonna want comic dot background context. Let me make sure that's right. Yeah, that looks right to me. Comic dot background context right here. Now let's try it one more time. Make clean, make, and let's do ocular. Boom, look at that. 4 boxes. We only have one more thing to do, so I'm going to take the next 10 minutes working on that because, I mean, normally I actually go to the gym after doing this, and usually no one shows up. Like, it's supposed to be like a group of people, but I'm usually the only one that goes, so I'm just going to kind of finish this up, and then we'll commit it to GitHub and call it a day. So now we have to do the same thing as we did before. So right before the tote equals tote plus 1, let's go down here and let's add everything in. So I could probably just copy this directly because it's going to be quite similar and go from there. So let's do this. Oh, DD. Cairo stroke. Cairo set source surface. Comic panel surface tote. Okay, but this one's a little bit different because it's... Oh no, this one's the same as the last one. We're fine. Okay, and let's go here. Okay, so this is if it is divisible by 3, but not divisible by 2. So I might have to change that a little bit later if I want. It's fine. It'll be good. Okay, so Cairo paint, comic background context. This should be fine. I times comic box width, J times comic box height. So stroke, set source. Oh, did I do the same thing I did before? Dang it. DD. Okay, so now what we're going to do is over here, let's try with 9. Let's do make clean, make, and let's do ocular. Good, 9 works just fine. So now we have the last one to do, which is the hardest one to do. And I think we can finish this up pretty soon. So case 2. Okay, so let's go down here. And let's just copy this guy directly because I think it should be fine. And then we'll worry about it in just a second. Okay, so for the first row, which is going to be like a multiple of 3, this should be fine. Now for the next row, which is not a multiple of 3, we're going to run into some issues. This should be on the same line. Interesting. Oh, okay, because there is no J. Okay. Okay, so what do we have here? It's going to be surface width divided by 2 plus I minus 1 times comic time dot box width. Is that right? Probably. Let's do it. So it's going to be surface width. There we are. And then add an H. I'm going to have to move this around a little bit to make sure it all fits. Okay, now for J, it should be exactly what I have down there, which is going to be the ceiling. Yeah, that looks fine. Why not? XX. And there. Okay, so now what does this mean? We have, I think everything's set. Yeah, so let's go down here, delete this, go over there, and X, there. Okay, now let's see what happens if we make clean, make. Okay, let's try this with 5. Let's do make clean, make. Okay, ocular. There we go. Okay, it all seems to be working exactly as I anticipated. Everything should be fine. Now, let's go through and remove all the commented lines because they are no longer necessary, I don't believe. Besides, they're in Git somewhere. And then we'll go ahead and commit it, and we'll call it a day. Okay, so these guys need to go. These guys need to go. Let's see, these guys. And these guys. Okay, so let's go ahead and write and quit. And let's run git commit subroutine.cpp. Adding in different contexts for every panel and drawing default screen. Okay, let's go ahead and write quit and git push. Origin beta. Okay, so that is it for today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. As always, this code is available on github.com, and you can basically get to it by going to my profile, which is linked under the screen. So you just go to my profile up here, and you go to repositories, subroutine, and you'll see it is under the beta branch. Here we have subroutine.cpp, which is exactly what we've worked on today. So you note that the main is commented out. Again, that's just for testing. But the main function that we worked on today, which was create scene, is working just fine. There's one thing I need to fix, and that is on line 165. Okay, let's do via subroutine. You can send me like a whisper on Twitch, or you can send me a message on Twitter. A direct message would work too. However you want to do it. What was it? Let's see. I'll actually go back through the chat log since you mentioned that, and let's do. One second. Tote. Ah, dang it. Okay. I'll go back through the chat logs, and you mentioned you wanted a career advice or something like that, right? Okay, so let's write this, and let me make sure I didn't do something stupid with anything else. Okay, it all seems fine. So that's the code we worked on today. There's a few more things we have to get to before actually getting to drawing with this code. We have drawn the panels. That's fine. There's one more thing I needed to do. What was it? There's a super important thing too. I don't remember what it was. Anyway, we'll get to it later. At this point, I'm kind of quite happy with how far this has gotten. Pretty excited to see how it turns out. And I guess that's about it. So /pariah, I will send you a whisper or something on chat. And I think that will be that. So thanks guys again for watching. Have a fantastic day, night, evening, morning, whatever time it happens to be your time. And I'll see you guys around next time, where we will hopefully be working on diagonalization again for the DMRG algorithm, maybe even moving on to the DMRG algorithm itself. Super excited for that. And if not, if we run into an issue, we'll be working on this drawing with code thing one more time. So it kind of depends on how things go. So if I'm not able to prepare sufficiently today, then tomorrow's stream might be this one again, but that's okay because I enjoy doing this too, and I hope you guys like watching this one. So again, trying to do physics tomorrow. If not, it'll be this again, but I think I can get all the physics I need done today. Appreciate it guys, and I'll see you next time. Bye guys.